Welcome back to Mock Draft Madness, day 40 of doing a mock draft every single day until the NFL draft on April 25th. We are 15 days away from the NFL draft. I could not be more excited. I'm going to try a couple out-of-the-box things here in this mock draft as we get closer. Just want to remind you guys that we will be doing a 3-round mock draft the night before to be released the morning of. I think I also might crack out a quick one-rounder the same morning just to, load up on the mock draft content. So first, we are going to go Caleb Williams. Now we're going to go Jayden Daniels to mix it up. I've been going Drake May. Now we're going to go Drake May to the New England Patriots. So I am going to have the Arizona Cardinals actually trade out of this pick. I think the Chargers are probably a more likely candidate to trade out. So I'm going to go 11-23 around 3 next year for pick 4, and I'm also going to give them pick 104. So I'm going to offer that trade through, and now the Vikings are on the clock, and they're going to take J.J. McCarthy. At number 5, I'm going to do something a little bit out of the box here. Brad Biggs, who is a Chicago Bears reporter, he writes for the Chicago Sun-Times. He is a very conservative reporter, and what I mean by that is he doesn't usually put takes out there unless he has some type of, I don't want to say confirmation, but at least some type of reliable source telling him that this is at least a thought in the Bears room. And he put out a column today about how the Bears, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting there at 4 or 5, might make an attempt to trade up and get Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair him with Caleb Williams. Now, he was saying it could take obviously the 9th pick and then maybe a second rounder next year, if not both second rounders that they own next year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Bears trade up with the Los Angeles Chargers here. Do I think the Chargers will move off the pick if Marvin Harrison Jr. is available? Probably not, but for this mock draft, we're going to do it. So I'm going to have the Chicago Bears trade up, and we're going to give them 9, and we're going to swap for the 5th. I'm going to give them round 2 next year, another round 2, and they are going to give us maybe back our 4th rounder from this year. So we are going to force this trade through. I don't know what the compensation is, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is now a Chicago Bear along with Caleb Williams. I know a lot of Chicago Bears fans would be ecstatic. At number 6 to the New York Giants, I am having them go Rome Odunze. I've been having them go Malik Neighbors. I think that would probably be the pick, but for some reason, if kind of the character concerns, the small ones with Malik Neighbors, do turn them off, they're still going to go wide receiver in my opinion. I've kind of gotten there. I've kind of moved off the quarterback idea. 7, Joe Alt to the Tennessee Titans until it is not Joe Alt to the Tennessee Titans. I just think unless we hear something closer to draft day, that just seems like the most logical pick. The Atlanta Falcons are in an interesting spot here because they could take a guy like Malik Neighbors that would really solidify their wide receiver core. I think the issue is they're probably going to target edge, and they can probably get any of the edge rushers even if they move back. So we know the Cardinals are looking for a wide receiver, and they moved off pick 4 with the Vikings. They have a ton of draft capital, and they only have to move up 3 spots to get Malik Neighbors. So that's what we're going to do here. I think pick 11 and obviously I think pick 66 can probably get it done. So we are going to force this trade through. And this is what I don't understand about the PFF mock simulator, because I was running this mock earlier and I realized I didn't have something checked, so I'm redoing it now. And this bar was different. So this pick, it had like an 80% chance of going through. So I don't know how the logic works in that, but I just want to let you guys know that I think it's different from every single simulation that you do. So we are going to force that trade through, and the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock, and they are going to take Malik Neighbors. So the Los Angeles Chargers are now on the clock. I think they could go Brock Bowers. I don't think it's likely, but I think maybe they'd be willing to move down even more and grab some more draft capital. So I am going to have them move back with the Cincinnati Bengals, and they are going to come move up to get Brock Bowers. It's funny because these teams interested was larger last time I was doing the mock draft, and the Bengals were actually in it. So it definitely has to be different and randomized every time. So I think that would probably get it done. I'll give them 115, and they'll give me 140. So now the Bengals are on the clock, and they are going to take Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, as a tight end, is a luxury pick. And the reality is the Bengals can afford to make luxury picks because they have a very, very good team. And Brock Bowers could be a very good addition for them, especially if they're going to be losing T. Higgins next year. He can be the wide receiver 2 behind Jamar Chase. Yes, Brock Bowers is a tight end, but he can play in the slot. Now with the New York Jets, we're in an interesting position here. I think Fuaga could be a very, very good pick for them, someone who can play right tackle and right guard. And I've gone Fautanu because he's more of a 5-position versatility guy. But with Fuaga, I think he'll be a better player at the NFL level going forward. And the reality is you have to think of the future because both your tackles are older. So I am going to go to Lisa Fuanga here at number 10. At number 11, the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock, and I am going to give them Laiatu Latu. He is definitely one of the top edges in the class. He has not really been injured after being cleared from being medically retired since, so I think he might be in the clear here. And that is kind of like, he might be one of those guys that just falls because of the injury history, but we might look back on it and be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have overlooked him, because realistically, without that injury history, he's probably edge 1 in this class. At number 12, to the Denver Broncos. I think we're in an interesting spot here because I think the Broncos should move back and actually fuck the draft. I meant to have the Broncos trade up with, or the Bengals trade up with the Broncos, but whatever. So the Broncos are here. I think the reality is they'll probably take a quarterback unless they're able to recoup a 2nd-round pick. And with how I'm looking at this, board right here, there's a lot of options. So I'm trying to think if there's a way we can have a team move up and give them a 2nd-round pick. I do think that, there is a reasonable belief that some of these teams could want to move up for like a Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know if 12 is really where his range starts. I think it probably starts around 15. And there are teams that might want to move up to go get, one of these corners here, or even, one of these edge rushers, especially because Dallas Turner is still available. I think that's a big thing. I am just going to have the Broncos stick and pick here, and I'm going to give them Bo Nix. I think without having a 2nd-round pick, unless they recoup one, it really hamstrings them on what they can do. So that is, interesting spot for the Denver Broncos. At number 13, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the corner room is probably the biggest need. They could also go O-line. I like the idea of a Troy Fautanu because he can play all of those positions. So I think corner is a little bit bigger need. So I'm going to go Quinyon Mitchell. At number 14, we have the New Orleans Saints. Troy Fautanu is a very good pick for them. Like I said, 5-position versatility. You have issues at guard and both tackle positions. You can play him really anywhere, and then you just can plug and play in where you're going to have the least trouble finding a guy to fill in. So now we're at 15 with the Indianapolis Colts. I think wide receiver is definitely an option here. I also think the idea of going with Terrion Arnold, possibly the best corner on the board here, is a good addition as well. I think their corner room is a little bit more desperate than their wide receiver room, so I think that makes a lot more sense. At number 16, to the Seattle Seahawks. In the past, I have been going interior O-line, and I've talked about maybe not adding an edge rusher because of the investments that they've had in there. But adding a guy like a Dallas Turner to that offense could not offense. Dallas Turner playing offense is actually fucking cracked out of their minds. So if we look at the Seattle Seahawks here, and we look at I believe they're in a 3-4 scheme, which is kind of where I like, they are in a 3-4 scheme, where I do really like Dallas Turner in more. I think the upside of a Turner in the Seattle defense with the Mike McDonald could be very, very good. At number 17 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think if Olu Fashanu is here, that is a pretty simple pick because, Cam Robinson, he plays this year, then he's going to be a free agent. I don't know if they love him. And to get a franchise left tackle like Olu at 17 is really hard to pass up. At number 18, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, who have traded back all the way from 5 to 18, and now they have 3 second-round picks next year, 2 second-round picks this year, and they got some draft capital in these next 2 years. At number 18, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, and they have issues on the defensive interior. I think they do want to go O-line. They do need, so looking at their offensive line, I think Jackson Powers-Johnson could be a play for them, and I just feel like I don't know. It's hard because I think Jim Harbaugh is going to want to go get his guys, but also at the same time, like, the MO is, for the Chargers is not, I'm looking at the wrong Los Angeles team. The MO for the GM of the Chargers is that, coming from Baltimore, they try to get best player available, trade down, that type of thing. And I think maybe if you're able to get a guy like, a Jerzon Newton or a Byron Murphy, that would be kind of crazy, but I think you have a better shot at getting a defensive lineman in the second round than you do one of these interior guys or tackles. And yes, you have Trey Pipkins. He's not horrible, but you could also grab a guy like a J.C. Latham and play him at guard, and then if you want to play him at tackle, he can play there too. At number 19, we have the Los Angeles Rams. I think with Jared Verse sitting here, that just becomes a very, very easy pick. At number 20, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need corner, they need tackle, they need wide receiver. I am going to I think what I might do here is I might trade back with the Buffalo Bills, so they're able to get a receiver because they're going to need one badly. So the issue with the Bills is they don't have, maybe we give them our second next year, they give us a third. We give them 128 and they'll give us 178. That's a big jump. Or we can give them 130, 133. All right, let's force that trade through. Or maybe 4. All right. Buffalo Bills are on the clock. They are going to take not a quarterback. They're going to take Brian Thomas Jr. They desperately need a receiver. So I don't love what they've done, honestly. I think they need to go out and get a receiver. I think if Brian Thomas Jr. is asked to be the number 1 guy, he's going to struggle a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. At number 21, we have the Miami Dolphins on the clock. I think they'll probably go with a interior offensive lineman, and I'm going to go Jackson. I'm actually going to go Graham Barton because of the 5-position versatility. It's getting kind of boring with the Dolphins, but I just think that's probably where they're going to lean. At 22, to the Eagles, Cooper DeJean because it gives them safety and DB help. Now we have both the interior guys left on the board. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go Byron Murphy. That would be an amazing pick. To be able to get Malik Neighbors and Byron Murphy while also having the 27th pick, that is crazy. At number 24, we have the Dallas Cowboys on the clock. I am actually going to give them Amarius Mims. I think he could help them a lot from the tackle spot and give him some time to develop. Because the Cowboys need to take a home run. They need to get their line fixed. He's a young talent who can be that guy. I like the pick a lot. At number 25, we have the Green Bay Packers. I think if Jerzon Newton is here, you take him without a thought. 26 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They do need a center. Jackson Powers-Johnson is here, and I don't know how you don't just that's just the easiest pick in the world because he's someone who can play all 3 interior spots. you need someone to replace Ryan Jensen, and you have Baker Mayfield, so you don't have to worry about like having like a young quarterback back there with a young center. And he just, to me, he kind of fits the Bucs vibe, especially without the pass rushers available on the board. I think that could be a good pick for them. At number 27, we have the Arizona Cardinals again. I am going to give them Nate Wiggins, or they could double up and go Adonai Mitchell, but I think you need to spread it out a little bit more. I'm going to go Nate Wiggins. You get Nate Wiggins, you get Malik Neighbors and Byron Murphy. That is a hell of a first round by Monty Austinford, who while also having pick 35. At number 28, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they need wide receiver. They need center, and they need tackle. I don't really love the tackles on the board, so I'm just going to give them Adonai Mitchell. He's obviously the best receiver available. 29 to the Detroit Lions. Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be a good pick for them just because their cornerback room is so dire. It's just a tough look. At number 30, we have the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. What I'm actually going to do is, because I think they can get their tackle in the early second round, I'm actually going to have them trade up or trade back with the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to give them 35, and then we'll give them 90, or we'll give them 70. We'll give them 90. We'll give them 71 and they give us 93. I think that's probably fair value. So we're going to force that trade through. Cardinals are on the clock. They are going to take Chop Robinson. Byron Murphy, Malik Neighbors, and Nate Wiggins. Cooking. I don't know. I wonder if any team has ever had 4 first-round picks. Tyler Guyton is an easy pick here. I also think they can go corner. I'm going to give them a guy in Kamari Lassiter, who I think could be a good player for them. I like the way he plays. He's physical, athletic, and the 49ers really do need cornerback help. 32 to the Chiefs. I am going to give them Xavier Worthy. I think, having a speed demon like that could do them wonders. Throwback to the Tyreek Hill days, but he cannot be their wide receiver 1. So hopefully Rashee Rice is okay. At number 33 to the Carolina Panthers. This is a 1-round mock. I'm just doing this for the Panthers since they don't have a first-round pick. I think, as much... This is a tough sell because of the off-the-field issues, but I really do think Jermaine Burton is a really, really good wide receiver. So if they think they can tame him and they don't have to worry about the off-the-field issues, he can be a really good player for them. This has been Mock Draft Madness Day 40. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know in the comments your favorite and least favorite pick from this mock draft. Thank you guys so much for watching. 15 days, so close to single digits. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your night.